He likes to flaunt it. What would you get from it?
He is ranked among the top 40 billionaires in Africa. But Vimal Shah, the chief executive officer of Bidco oil refineries, would rather not have that as the highlight to his story.
I think gauging a person based on wealth or money is not important. I think the wealth that I would have is living in the hearts of people, living in the minds of people and saying, fine, this is important. Money is, we're a channel, right? It comes through us and goes through us. We're never the owners of it.
And so I ask him what he considers as the highlight to his story. And he introduces me to his younger self, a youthful Vimal who then only had a wealth of ideas, which only a few people were willing to listen to.
We had a project that we put together to banks, went across to very many banks, showing them the project.
Sorry, how old were you then?
I was 20,
20.
1980. 60 born,
Yeah.
20 at 1980.
Yeah.
So they say, yeah, young lad, well done, you've got a university education, but what experience do you have? You don't have any experience, so, and have you ever done this before? I said, no. So my father had done business before, but they said, you haven't done this sort of business. And most of them would say, nice project, but Unilever might kill you.
But he had a fiery ambition that could not be put off. And together with his younger brother, Tarun Shah, they decided to gain experience on the road, alone in what was a big corporate world.
You know, you're bubbling with an idea. You've got an idea, you see it working, you see all of the calculations on paper, and all they look at is, look, yeah, you've got a nice idea, but making it work is a different story altogether. So that's the mishap, that's the gap between education, universities, and practical experience. So they want some experience behind you. And we got good advice from IFC, who said, look, the guy who was there he says, start small and let each business back up the next one and grow bigger that way.
And small they did, walking door to door with their products in hand, trying to convince consumers to invest in products that were a brainchild of two young men with no experience, but only the will.
So what we did is we bought some vans, went around van selling. Ourselves, my brother and myself, would get into a van and go and sell the product. Now that became a problem because nobody would buy it and say, look, we won't buy it until it starts selling. So what we went and did was consignment stocks, which means you give it to people and say, fine, once it sells, then you pay us the money.
30 years later, and Bidco oil refineries, the business that the banks were convinced would never beat the giants, grew into a conglomerate, even acquiring part of Unilever Kenya's edible oils business, their biggest competitor. Two young boys who started by knocking doors and who are now opening doors in the corporate world.
At times you see you going and talking passionately about a whole concept, a whole thing that you want to do, and people just don't see it. People don't see the whole end because they don't trust you.
Now he runs a company that has a turnover of about 42.5 billion shillings according to Forbes Africa, which means Bidco rakes in 116 million shillings per day or 5 million shillings an hour, basically 83,000 shillings per minute. Bidco has 30 brands in its portfolio with a presence in about 16 markets in Africa. In fact, the New World Wealth data recently placed him as the wealthiest Kenyan, estimating his net worth at about 138 billion shillings. But the very modest Vimal Shah refutes this.
To measure my wealth, I don't think it's a good measure at all. Because you can say, I mean, valuations are based on what? You know, valuations based on buyer-seller. Are we up for sale? I said it yesterday. I said, look, if somebody could pay me that 1.6 billion as this quoted in the papers, I'd sell my entire business right now and take that money. But it's not there. It's just valuations could be anything you put up.
So what keeps him ahead of the pack?
The most important thing is having the will and the passion to make it work. The what must not change, what you want to do. The how-tos can change. You can always change the how to do it, how to get there. But if you change your destination, then you're in trouble.
Vimal talks to me about the current business market and how many would rather get rich quick than climb the ladder of success.
And I don't think this whole get-rich-quick attitude should be used, number one. Number two, I think those are some wrong models who have amassed wealth without knowing where it's come from, and then they become role models. That's probably the wrong way. This overnight millionaire business where, they want to make money. Look, I'll put it very simple. If you said that my goal is only to make money, go rob a bank, you'll become a millionaire or a billionaire straight away. Well, will that satisfy you? It won't. because you will always be struggling with yourself and you won't even be able to hold your head up high in society.
Would he say he has made it?
Money is a fringe benefit. It's not the objective. If that's the objective, I want to get rich, I want to make this much money and then retire, then that's not for me. I think I'd rather go into advisory roles, more of mentoring.
And his advice to the young looking to start a business:
How many people have tried? So there are probably 1 million failures and 1 successes. So the chances there are also small. But start small, aim big, and really get going. And don't give up.
Vimal, who also chairs the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA, and the East Africa Business Council, insists that he will not retire. He says that would be like preparing for his funeral. His work is his passion, and he intends to keep at it. For him, it's now no longer about the money that he makes, but the difference he makes in people's lives, not only in Kenya, but Africa.
It makes no difference to me. Being rich or poor is not important. I think there are certain essentials in life. You know, your food, clothing, shelter must be taken care of. I think those are essentials. But at the same time, if your richness goes to the head and you start becoming arrogant and start showing or looking at people, you know, in a downward manner, then you're in trouble, because that's when you will start falling. I would rather not do that, and I would rather say, fine, we're trustees of wealth. It comes through us, goes on, and let it be passed on.
Hussein Mohammed, Citizen Business Center.